We've lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on our giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
What it do, boys and girls? It is Monday night. It is May 2nd. It's gonna be May. You are tuned in to the Drive-In Speaker Box. I am your host, the Boom Operator.
And I am Slick Doggy the Grip.
That's right. And yeah, we are here. It's another day. It's another time. It's another place. It's another month. It's May. It's May, and it's the beginning of summer, and you know what that means is everybody's like, summer blockbusters! We made it through, February, March, and April, which is going to be a little on the slower side, but we're here, and Vince, already in the comments over on Twitch, noticing that someone has shaved for the show.
Sometimes accidents happen. I don't know what to tell you.
I know it's going to be a thing. It's going to be that we should have shaved up enough channel points to where get the Grip to shave his flavor saver or whatever you call that thing. The soul patch.
Yeah. The missing portion of my avant-garde.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're listening to the podcast version of this and you're like, what the heck is going on? Make sure you could tune in live. We do this every Monday night live streaming, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time over on our Facebook, our Twitch, and our YouTube. We do this live once a week, and you can get into that conversation over on the chat. Unlike a lot of podcasts that edit things and do things over again. And
professional.
No, they're not professional because they're have to do 6 or 7 takes because they all and they have to write all these notes and rehearse, and we don't do none of that. We just.
Well, I do have some notes.
We got notes, but we don't.
Minimal notes.
We don't have a script. We didn't write jokes. We didn't put effort into this.
No, there's effort. What
I was going to say is it's raw talent. That's what we put into this. So
emphasis on the raw.
On raw. Well, be sure to check us out over there on our live channels, and it's a lot of fun. So shout outs into the chat. Logan over on Twitch saying the womb broom. I don't think I've ever heard of that classification. No, it's the womb broom would be the lower business.
Okay.
That's where everything.
Graphic.
Yeah, I mean, yuck.
No Blue Chew ads on this show.
That's right. This
When
show.
we get big enough to have those, let's not do that. Let's not be like, what if your dick pills was more like a chewing gum?
Well, I mean, everybody has a price, and ours isn't that high. So if you want to sponsor the Drive-In Speaker Box, hit us up in the DMs.
That's true. Shout out to Fathom Events.
That's right. Shout out to Fathom Events and
AMC concession stands. And what are all the other things that we promote?
Rock Hill Studios, all forms of gin. We're whores. We'll be your whore. We'll be your product.
What
whore.
is a we? Hey, thanks, Loge Web.
Well, I'll be sure that when we're rich and famous, you won't take any dollars from advertising, and I will keep all of them. But anyway, we've got a show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about movies that came out. We're going to be talking about movies that are coming out. We're going to be talking about news. We're going to be talking about all that stuff. We're going to be reviewing Memory later in the program, so stick around for that in the second half hour.
Memory,
like the corners of my mind.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about that, but first, let's talk about some movie news. Did you hear, guys? The director of the new, and this is kind of funny. The new Fantastic Four film that everybody's been talking about. John Watts, he's been kind of bringing us all of these Spider-Man movies that we love, and he was attached to do, the Fantastic Four for over a year now, and he announced that he's not. He's like, I'm walking away from the project, and didn't even cite the whole like usual thing where people like go, creative differences, which is just kind of a catch-all term for somebody pissed off somebody else real hard. But I think there was maybe an interview, maybe an offhanded comment where he's just like, look, I'm tired of comic book movies for a minute, and I need a break.
Yeah, and then everyone was like, oh, but what's going to happen with Spider-Man? Because it was supposed to be some sort of tie-in, because Spider-Man's first appearance was him raiding the Fantastic Four tower. And being
every movie's going to have a Spider-Man in it at some
butthole
point.
Kid. Yeah, so now everyone's like, well, what's going to happen with the Spider-Man movies?
Well, they're going to get turned over to some other like flashy name director, and they're going to, but again, these aren't Marvel movies. These are Sony movies under the Marvel universe-ish, whatever. It's in conjunction with. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And much like Sam Raimi, who Sony sort of like
got to the third one, and he's like,
and he took like a 10-year break from directing movies. And, if you read old interviews with him, he's just like, I just needed some time. Doing comic book movies, doing these big studio numbers where you've got producers constantly questioning your vision, where you got rewrites and reshoots and drama from celebrities and all this kind of stuff, and big, huge budgets and delivery dates and all the madness. It's exhausting, especially to do one right after another. And, everybody's like, oh, Hollywood must just be so fun and glamorous. And, working on a movie, working on the principal photography is what they call it. And I can't even imagine with post, if you're a director, like, what an exhausting process. Like, it is a very, very exhaustive process. Being on a film set's not fun. It's hard work. Maybe if you're like an A-list celebrity, you got a trailer and you just get to sip on your Evian or whatever. And
what was it years ago for Men in Black 3, where Will Smith had like that 50-foot trailer parked in the middle of New York City, and everyone's like, wow, this is blocking the entire world. But it was Will Smith, and there was nothing anyone could do about it.
Yeah, else it gets slapped.
Yeah, it turns out that was the reason. He used to just slap the hell out of people. Yeah, he's like, I'm Hancock, and just hit people. Tying into this, too, a couple of things that have kind of been mentioned in the comments here. People saying they're tired of comic book movies. Well, guess what? 2023 has more Marvel movies than any other year ever, so get ready to
buckle up, James, on Facebook. It is not...
Have it crammed down your throat even more than ever, as if it's not enough.
Giving it money.
And... several people mentioned that they thought you were going to mention the exit of Justin Lin from Fast 10.
That was part 2 of my directors.
Seatbelts.
Yeah.
He stepped out a couple days ago, and it turns out now they're saying that was a few days before he was even supposed to announce it. He had quit, and they waited a few days, and it was like the day after Vin Diesel posted a hype video with Justin Lin of being like, yo, fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be sick. Justin Lin's back. Hell yeah. And then Justin Lin's like, nah, dog.
It's probably Vin Diesel's fault. Like, wasn't there like some famous beef that,
him and The Rock?
Yeah, him and The Rock. And The Rock was like, look, Vin Diesel sucks. And a lot of people apparently are like, yeah, working with Vin Diesel is not fun. And maybe Lin was just like, okay, look, this is already annoying enough as it is. You know what? I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for the craft services. I'm out. And
it has been mentioned in the comments and mentioned again, just merge both projects. Fast and Furious and Fantastic Four, you could have FFFFF4 and you could just have all of the
Fantastically Fast Four.
Oh.
The Furiously Fantastic Fast Four.
Yeah. Johnny
Utah. You bring him back
Johnny
from
Utah.
from
Johnny
Point
Storm.
Break. Yeah.
The Human Torch.
Flame on!
He'd be super into it. Bring back Chris Evans as Johnny Storm.
FFFF. Yes. Fantastically Fast and Furiously Fantastic Fast Four.
But you know who they brought in as the director to replace Justin Lin?
Well, yes, I know.
Louis Leterrier. However it's supposed to be.
Because Clash of the Titans was so good.
Did he do that?
Yeah.
Well, you know what else he did, though? Transporter 1 and 2.
Well, there's that.
And he did The Incredible Hulk that kicked off the Marvel Universe.
He did do The Incredible Hulk.
He did Now You See Me, which some people liked for some reason. I don't understand it. And he did a favorite of yours, Lupin on Netflix.
But that was French. That was French language with French stuff. And, the French, when they're in France, they get to do different stuff.
What if this Fast and Furious takes place in France?
Well, that'd be muy bien. Or très bien. That's it. Muy bien is Spanish. Très bien is French.
James in the comments has a good one. It's F off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as Lojweb says on Twitch, gonna need a Shyamalan Fast and Furious.
No.
That I would.
No.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Remember when Shyamalan did the one with James McAvoy and everyone's like, "Yo, this is sick." This dude
Splice or Split.
Yeah,
or
and everyone was like, "Yo, this is really sick. He's killing it. It's good again." And then he did the next one where he's like, "What if Unbreakable and this one were put together?" And everyone's like, "Ooh, you ruined it."
Well, you know what's really funny though is circle back cancel culture. So one of the interesting things about like hardcore pedal to the metal like progressive thought and cancel culturedom is the inability to separate content from a time in history or the context of which and when and how it was made. Everybody's trying to cancel that James McAvoy movie because he was playing a character with personality disorder and was the villain, and so they're saying that he
wasn't. A couple of his personalities were
right, but they're saying that it threw a negative light on people with personality disorders, and so therefore it is an incredibly poor taste and should be canceled. Okay, and I'm like.
What about the serial killers they've done interviews with, and that's like exactly how they are?
What about like everything? Come on. Like,
they portrayed this person as a killer, and I'm kind of like that person.
Yeah, I like pizza, and the killer in this movie ate pizza. I don't think I like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, like
only turtles eat pizza.
It's like we're already watching movies about flying like green giants in space with their friends that carry lightning hammers and are made of rocks. Like, can we just like go, okay, let's suspend disbelief? And we're also in a time where everybody wants characters on screen to look and represent people that look and act and come from backgrounds like me. And it's like, okay, well, if you want these characters injected into these stories, then we need to still have bad guys. And I read a really interesting article about like villains, and villains on screen. Like, we still need bad guys, and not every bad guy has to have a sympathetic out. Not every bad guy has to be like, like the Rambo bad guy where he was like a Nazi baby killing like
the Russian dude from trafficker. Rambo 2.
The John Rambo movie. That was like
Rambo.
He was so like unlikable.
The jungle dude who raped children and all that stuff, and
like
Rambo
ate
just
him,
like tears his throat out.
Yeah, dude, and you're just like, how. Not every bad guy has to be like a child raping Nazi. Like, we can just have bad guys, that look like me, and that's okay. Like, we need to tell stories. Like, storytelling is still a thing about exploring our imaginations and exploring alternate. That's sci-fi is one of the coolest genres because it gets to explore these things of like, what if someone that looks like me and acts like me and comes from my background gets presented with some shit, and maybe we make a bad decision and we screw up. What does that look like? Can we explore this thought? Can we explore this idea, this fantasy, and play it out on screen?
That's not fantasy, that's life. What if someone that I look at in the mirror fucks up every day?
Yeah. And it's like, it's okay.
Like, I live that. I don't need to see that more. You know what? Talking about people being put on screen that cancel culture has attacked and has been viewed as a villain and things like that. There's screen releases.
About the Johnny Depp.
No,
I don't want to touch the Johnny Depp thing.
No, there's too much of that going on.
Too many. It's too much shit in the bed.
There's been shots of Barbie movie released.
Oh, the Barbie movie.
Yeah, because everyone's like, she is too skinny and pretty. I hate her. Yeah, so that's out now, and it's all Harley Quinn.
Margot Robbie, yeah. I mean, and the whole point, I think, of this movie is a parody of the fact that it's this unobtainable sort of image, and...
But she's pictured in the dream car, like, 50s pink vet.
Yeah.
So...
Because it's Barbie.
It's Barbie. That's what, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, it's, we'll see.
How many trailers are we going to get where it's like, okay, Barbie, let's go party?
They actually said that the Aqua song will not be present in the movie.
Maybe not in the movie, but on the trailers. How many of the trailers and promotional material?
Yeah, thanks, Aqua. But anyway, that's going on in the director news. Another interesting thing, a bit of news that I thought was interesting. A name that I haven't heard of since before you were born, John Woo. John Woo. If you don't know that name,
Mission Impossible 2.
You will know what he's responsible for. John Woo probably single-handedly invented this sort of pistol opera action genre of the 90s. Doves flying, double pistols leaping in the air. It's been done so many times. But John Woo was the guy. He was like a Hong Kong action film director, and some of his best films are with Chow Yun-fat. And if you've ever gone back and seen like Hard Boiled, which is a really good one, but one of his most classics was The Killer. The Killer is so good. I mean, it is so good, and just really just started a genre. And now Peacock, which is, I guess, the new the streaming service for NBC,
Universal
NBC, they have signed on John Woo to make a series remake of The Killer, 1989 Hong Kong action classic, The Killer, retranslated for American screens on Peacock. This sounds like the worst idea. And John Woo's attached. This sounds as bad as the American Old Boy. Like...
Oh, yeah. I was thinking that same thing when you were talking about it. It was like,
ugh.
What if Josh Brolin was Old Boy?
And what if we cut out all of the social context that makes this movie really disturbing? And what if we... they originally wanted Will Smith, I think, to be in Old Boy.
Old Boy? Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Super weird. Vince coming in with the Old Boy remake reference. I mean, the only thing they got right about that remake was the Hammer hallway scene. But then it already
that's
been
like
done.
the iconic scene of the movie that's been recreated in multiple forms of media.
Every action movie.
I don't know if that was in the original manga or not, though. Was it?
I think it was.
I never got that.
I think the looking at the hammer and going, this is how I got to get out. But, I don't think this is going to be good. I love The Killer. I love, 80s, 90s John Woo. I just don't know how I feel about this guy. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Talking about streaming and series and remakes, Netflix is going to do yet another reboot of Iron Chef.
No.
Yes.
No.
That's happening.
Please no.
Yep.
Please no. And is Alton Brown involved?
I doubt it. Because it's on Netflix. It's not Food Network.
Well, Alton Brown's also he's trying to retire. He's published his last book. He's on his last tour, which I got to go see. I don't know if I talked about that on the show. It's pretty awesome. No, I don't want another Iron Chef. I mean, I love the original Iron Chef, and I even did a pretty long stint of watching Iron Chef America. But I just don't think that's a good idea. I mean, Food Network, how many cooking challenge shows have been born now thanks to Iron Chef? I mean, there's so many of them out there. And
but original Iron Chef was good.
Original Iron Chef is amazing.
Iron Chef America, not so much. And then the latter seasons of Food Network's Iron Chef America stuff was just not good.
Oh, I mean, there's so many, like Chopped, and there was another, I think it was Cutthroat Kitchen. There's a whole bunch of there's the same premise. It's like, all right, we've assembled these 3 chefs from these culinary backgrounds that think they're the best in their game, and we're gonna pit them head to head with today's mystery ingredient, which is, cow eyeballs. And then you're like, all right. The Alton Brown version, I think, is Cutthroat Kitchen, and it's pretty awesome.
It is going to have Alton Brown.
But he's the chairman? Ah, damn it. No.
Yeah, it still has Mark Dacascos in it.
Man, no. Oh, I love Alton Brown, though. What am I going to do?
I don't know. Bring back original Iron Chef. That was the tits, where they're like, and the secret ingredient is squid butthole. Yeah, and Iron Chef...
I'm going to make squid butthole ice cream.
Exactly. Iron Chef Italy was like, to the ice cream machine, and he would just toss it in there. And me and my brother were like, what's Iron Chef Italy going to do this time? And it was just funny, because it was like Iron Chef whatever country, and they were all Japanese dudes.
Oh, dude. Iron Chef Morimoto, he was always just like, raw squid butthole. Just on a leaf. That's it. That's it. I just really want to express the pure of the squid butthole.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude. And
all the time. But he would seriously make ice cream out of they're like, the ingredient today is squirrel turds. And they're like,
ice cream.
Ice cream.
Put it in the ice cream maker.
Yeah. And the people would always eat it. And they're like, this ice cream. It's so good, and you wouldn't even tell that it's squirrel turds and squid butthole.
Couldn't do it.
Thank you, Iron Chef. Yeah.
Thank you, Iron Chef.
But at the beginning of every episode, that dude would take a bite out of that bell pepper and throw up in his mouth.
Well, the original chairman, yeah, he was a bell pepper, and then the Iron Chef America one would get the bell pepper, but then go in an apple and go, and it's like, well, we're America now.
Well, but the opening of original Iron Chef just always cracked me up because he had that bell pepper and he was like.
He loved it though, because
he didn't. He threw up in his mouth.
So the funny thing about the original Iron Chef is the theme song to original Iron Chef is the theme song to Backdraft with Everybody loves Backdraft. Everybody's favorite firefighter movie with Kurt Russell. Yeah. But yeah, the theme song to Backdraft got taken and used as the Iron Chef original Japanese Iron Chef theme song, which is a little fun fact there. But anyway, yeah. Cooking shows.
Talking Netflix series 2, there was that trailer released for the new Mike Myers project.
The Pentaverate?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this because I like Mike Myers. I think Mike Myers, again, going back to what we were talking about earlier in the show about things existing in a certain time, I mean, I feel like the 90s and Mike Myers were just a really good time to be together. But the shtick, the same old get in my belly, oh, fat bastard, oh, my honey baby, yeah, oh, baby, and $1 million, all of that stuff, it does not age well. The whole, I think Austin Powers turns 25 this week.
Yeah, but the whole premise of Austin Powers was that he was from an era and he didn't age well.
Right, but now the movie Austin Powers does, and maybe that was the plan. Maybe
you could
this
kind of go
genius.
back and watch it and be like, well, this didn't age well, and the whole movie's about, well, this didn't age well, and you'd be like, oh, wow.
Yeah, maybe Mike Myers is a true genius. I mean, I really do love So I Married an Axe Murderer.
It's been 30 years since then. In the 90s was 30 years from the 60s. Look at that.
God, So I Married an Axe Murderer is such a sleeper Mike Myers hit.
They used to run it on Comedy Central during the day all the time.
Such a good movie.
Not after you've seen it on Comedy Central 5,000
edited
times.
And yeah, of course, there are movies I can watch 5,000.
Surf Ninjas.
Yeah, Surf Ninjas.
Kwasu dudes.
But
so there's not Surf Ninjas Strike Back. That's Three Ninjas.
Well, they need a Surf Ninjas Strike Back.
Three Ninjas was yeah.
What was Surf Nazis Must Die?
That's
a movie that a friend of mine worked on. Yeah, shout outs to John. But this Mike Myers film, it's just more of the same shtick. I mean, even Rob Lowe's in it, and I don't know, Mike Myers and Rob Lowe have been homies since the dawn of time, and I'm pretty sure Rob Lowe
Benjamin
is an immortal.
It could be.
or he's just so full of Botox, or he's an android or a hologram. He's like the hologram Tupac that was at the Super Bowl that one time. He's just like Rob Lowe in it. Mike Myers playing 100 characters that are all basically Mike Myers. Like, when Eddie Murphy plays multiple characters, there's some acting going on. Like, Eddie Murphy can... No. Hear me out. Like, Coming to America, Vampire in Brooklyn, like, so, you're like, I'm pretty sure that's Eddie Murphy, but the voices are different. The characters are a little bit different. You can tell it's Eddie Murphy.
There was a time where it worked for both of them, but I think people are so used to it now. They're like, well, it's just
we
them.
got it.
Yeah.
Can't you do something else?
Kind of like the whole, like, people wearing COVID masks and stuff. Because before Halloween and everything, it's like, who are you? I'm trying to figure it out. I need to check your ID, and I can't tell if it's you. And now you just see this of people all the time, and you're like, well, that's clearly Bruce Wayne. Dick Grayson, who's he kidding?
Yeah. Hey, you're not fooling a city.
Yeah, get out of here. Secret identity. And they're like, oh.
You got me, dude.
Yeah.
Should have worn the glasses like Superman. No one would ever recognize me.
Yeah, what gave me away? And they're like, I've been looking at people with masks like this.
Yep. Yeah. And then that's all it takes is a little bit of clues.
Yeah, I can see like Vince said, Nutty Professor and stuff. At the time, that was really good. But then you watch like Coming to America, and you're like, oh,
that one wasn't as good. But the original one was good. But anyway, Mike Myers coming back on a Netflix series. Doesn't have I think it's May 5th is when, so it starts streaming this week. So you can check that out. Also streaming this week, for those of you that are into streaming, Ozark has, released the last handful of episodes. I haven't made my way all the way through them yet, but they are out there. I've heard people are a little upset about the ending. They're like, and that's the problem. I mean, endings to things that we have grown accustomed to seeing and watching and enjoying. Nobody likes endings, but I'm looking forward to checking out the ending. One thing that is ending this week that I am not looking forward to checking out the end of is Picard Season 2. It ends this week, and I don't know if anybody of you or anybody in the audience has been keeping up with Picard Season 2. This show sucks. It's so bad. And you're talking to two dudes that love some Star Trek.
I'm a big Star Trek fan, but anything they call it New Trek, any of that, it's not for me. The Orville, now that's for me. Oh, they announced
that's coming out.
There was an Orville teaser pic released
this summer. It's coming just very soon.
I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. Orville Season 3, last one, unfortunately.
I need it to go forever. So maybe it'll get picked up by another network or something.
It could.
But Picard and Strange New Worlds and Discovery,
dude, Picard,
not for
you know
me.
How they just call it like Star Trek Picard. It should have been like Star Trek Oedipus. And like this whole series, the whole season 2 is about like Picard's big like Oedipal boner for his mom, and it's super weird. And there's like Borg team ups. Like, a franchise is failing when they do a team up with the like worst enemy they can think of. Like, G.I. Joe's like, well, we gotta figure out how to get people watching. We're teaming up with Cobra, and everyone's like, oh shit, and just like, oh man, Optimus Prime, what are we gonna do? We're gonna team up with the Decepticons. No, we're not. Are you kidding me? Oh, we gotta watch this. And Picard is just like, well, Jean-Luc's gonna team up with the Borg Queen, and you're like, no, he
everybody
isn't.
gets super sensitive dick skin like Data did.
Exactly. You get super secretive or sensitive dick skin. You get super and
that's seriously a premise in First Contact. The Borg Queen tries to coerce Data to her side by giving him real sensitive dick skin and then rubbing it. And that's a weird thing for me to say on a thing that my family and friends and
future
in-laws all watch.
We didn't write it.
That's true. I didn't write it. I just watched the movie and was
but yeah, like this Picard stuff, and it's just another thing that I'm getting really tired of.
First Contact.
And I blame X-Men for doing this. And
damn you, Bryan Singer.
Yes, I blame Bryan Singer. I blame X-Men because Marvel ran with it, and now that Marvel's running with it, and Sony's running with it, and DC's starting, everybody's running with multiverse. Like this, everything's a multiverse right now.
That's been going on in the comics for like.
Well, yeah, but they're using multiverse as a way to just you know what, we don't even have to try multiverse, and this doesn't even make sense. Multiverse, and why would this character even multiverse? And that's what happened in Picard. Like Q rolls up and he's just like, Mon Capitan, and and then it's a multiverse because there's a he goes and meets young Guinan. And, of course, in Star Trek Next Generation, Picard first meets Guinan like hanging out with
1800s.
With Mark Twain, and that's like how Data's head like gets salvaged for several hundred years and all this kind of stuff. But they first meet each other there, and you're like, oh, okay, well, Guinan's just been hanging out with uppity white dudes for most of mankind, and and then Jean-Luc walks into her bar in like 2024, and she's like, who the fuck are you? And you're like, don't you? It's Guinan. And then it's, of course, the director. Everybody's like, how come Guinan doesn't know like Jean-Luc? They met like 100 years ago.
Yeah, she met him in the 1800s, but he didn't meet her until his time.
Right. And they're like, multiverse, Q multiverse, guys. It's a timeline, but it's an alternate timeline. So timelines.
See, that's multiverse. A bummer because so many fans were hoping that they would explain why Q was afraid of Guinan.
They do a little bit of that. They do explain the Elorian Q continuum relationship a little bit. It's a little weak, but the rest of it,
he can just make multiverses, and she just goes along with it. It kind of ruins that.
Well, spoiler alert. Spoiler: Q is dying, and he's losing his powers, and he's faced with mortality.
So that ruins
the
many
Q continuum
things about the Qs, because Voyager has a really good episode where there's a Q who's trying to kill himself, and he goes, the only thing I've ever wanted is to die because he can't, and that's the whole purpose of the episode.
Only Qs can kill each other Qs, and they won't do it.
Well, they do have that whole Q Civil War thing where Susie Plaque is the female Q, and you have like the Q baby thing. That's more Voyager stuff. Voyager's sick.
Voyager is pretty sick.
Hey, but getting away from fun Star Trek and going back to things that are ending.
Picard.
Anyway,
the season finale is this week. So
other things that are ending. Gary Oldman announced that he's done acting.
I don't believe it.
Well, he said likely, right? But he said Slow Horses, which is an Apple TV, Apple Plus thing, is his last project. So
I don't believe it.
Gary Oldman.
And also, Gary Oldman is not allowed to retire because Gary Oldman's probably one of the only talented people in Hollywood.
The thing is, he'll just come back, and unlike Eddie Murphy and Mike Myers, he'll come back and be somebody, and you won't know it's him.
He's just going to be in roles, and we never know. He's going to take an alternate name and just act, and we'll never know it's Gary Oldman.
Yeah, just like that meme where it's like, the director yells "cut," you snap out of it.
He's gonna be like,
look in the mirror. You were Gary Oldman the whole time.
He's gonna be Harry Goldman, and everyone's gonna go, God, this Harry Goldman is such a great actor. Dude, Gary Oldman, he is. I was just talking about. So I recently purchased a Bram Stoker's Dracula pinball machine. Mark your calendars for October.
Gary Oldman
with the big. Japanese hair bun. It was this really interesting costume designer. Actually, the behind the scenes of that movie are pretty incredible. Like Bram Stoker's Dracula. Say what you will about it, everybody goes, "Oh, Keanu."
Well,
yeah,
you're like a vampire.
But one of the coolest things about that movie is every bit of visual effects except for the blue fire was done in camera, which is pretty insane. If you think about that, there was almost no post effects done, like the overlay of the eyes and all the the miniature overlays and the shadows and the creature effect. Everything was done in camera. And you think about how Francis Ford Coppola was doing some of this stuff as an homage to back, the early 30s and 40s silent films, and Nosferatu and Universal Dracula and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's a very, very impressive movie stylistically if you're into filmmaking. But yeah. Anyway, getting off topic, Gary Oldman, fantastic performance in everything that he does.
Well, and something else that ended, which is a terrible transition for this, I'm sorry, but the man that played the drummer in Spinal Tap, Rick Parnell, passed away at 70.
Well, way to buzzkill.
Well, there is as unfortunate as it is, there's a slight bit of humor to it in the sense that in Spinal Tap, the joke was that all of the drummers would die on him. So,
well, and self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess.
Well, everyone dies, but yeah. But yeah, so there's that. That's just kind of like a sad and interesting bit at the same time, I guess. And the last thing that I really saw worth mentioning was there's a George Carlin documentary coming out, directed by Judd Apatow, and it has just all sorts of people talking about the impact on them that George Carlin had.
George Carlin, his comedy, going back and looking at his comedy, is so relevant today as it was then. It's like he was telling the future, or we just have not progressed as a society at all. George Carlin, a.k.a. Rufus.
I was about to say more Keanu Reeves connection. Yeah.
Very cool dude, very funny comedian, very ahead of his time.
I used to walk in FYE and look at the George Carlin collection all the time. I'm like, there's no way I can afford that, and I always wanted it.
But now you can as a grown adult.
Yeah, maybe if I had money, but.
What's that?
Yeah, dollars are a thing.
Maybe if we had more subscribers, we could buy these things. So don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you subscribe. Twitch actually gives us money. So there you go. But now it's the time of the show. We need to move on. Opening this week in theaters, pretty much only one movie that is coming out. There is a small horror movie coming out called The Twin. It might not make it to your theaters, but it is out there from director Tanley Mustonen. YouTube is adding tipping. That's cool, because to get an affiliate status with advertising with YouTube now, you have to get like millions of views. They're getting stingy, and Twitch is about to get stingy.
There's subscribers, and then you have to join the club or whatever. And
ridiculous. It's making it impossible. They're like, we want free content from people always, forever.
It's weird that a horror movie would come out this week, though, because next week is Friday the 13th.
It is. It is spooky. But this week, opening May 6th, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Nothing's coming out next week, because it's like, what's the point?
Nope. And they're all like, did you watch WandaVision? Did you watch another Marvel show that you probably didn't give a shit about? Did you watch, do you care? Do you follow Spider-Man? Do you understand? Did you watch Inception? Like, well, watch all these movies to get ready to not understand us trying to fill the leaky hole of plot that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe with magic. And it's Doctor Strange going, every question you've had about something that doesn't make sense is now my magic. And which is, I anticipate this movie being just nonstop, like, well, if a fan has a question about something, multiverse.
It would be so funny. I've just thought about this. If they bring in like all the old comic movies, like all the old Marvel movies, there's like X-Men universe, and he just goes erase, and then everyone's like, what? And he's like, it's gone. And like Fantastic Four, it has Chris Evans, and he's like, oh, Jodie Storm, and he's like, erase. And so every time there's like a fan thing or something people like,
that old Captain America movie from the 80s,
with what's his name, Sallings, Matt Sallings, and he's just like gone. And like the Incredible Hulk
Lou
TV
Ferrigno shows up and goes, hey guys, it's me, and they're like,
wow.
That's Lou Ferrigno. I'm doing a Lou Ferrigno impression. There's nothing wrong with doing a Lou Ferrigno impression.
Hey, fun fact, I met him one time. Not a nice guy. At least
he's a jerk.
He's kind of a jerk.
He was the Hulk.
I was like, hey dude, what's up? Pumping Iron and all this stuff that I watched where you and Arnie were like rivals and you're so cool and the Incredible Hulk. And he was like, get away from me. I was like, cool.
But Doctor Strange, this is going to be much like Spider-Man. I feel like there's going to be a lot of cameos that are going to pop up in this movie that they've kept under wraps, because that's the whole thing now, is like getting
more than just Chitty Egeo. What's his Chiwetel? How do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. But
in the new trailers, he's like, I'm back. And everyone's like, who is he again?
He was a character
In the first movie.
but you know, there's going to be Bruce Campbell cameos. There's probably I think there's probably going to be a Professor X cameo. I think there's going to be a
Sounded like
Deadpool cameo. I think there's going to be
He just erases Deadpool, and everyone's like, what? And they're like,
no, he
yeah.
doesn't erase. It's just
No.
the bridging of the timeline.
Yeah,
so
but it was-
Deadpool can now be in a Marvel movie.
No, it'd be so funny if he just erased everything Fox like that with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and Deadpool, and that's how Ryan Reynolds gets out of having to do it or anything. They're just like, sorry, dude, no more Deadpool. Disney doesn't want it. And
Like, well, okay. But or no, they're gonna get Ryan Reynolds Deadpool from X-Men Origins, and they're gonna whoosh that one away. But keep the Deadpool we know, but that Deadpool goes away, and then Green Lantern, he'll show up
can't.
for 2 seconds, but even though he's in the wrong universe.
yeah, I can't do that.
But this movie, this movie I think is going to be ultimate panderfest. Even though it's Sam Raimi, and I really like Sam Raimi, I do. He has made some of my favorite movies of all time, but doesn't mean everyone's going to be a banger, especially when you've got Marvel breathing over your neck or Disney breathing over your neck. And I just don't. I'm not excited about this. I've seen too many trailers. I just don't think it's going to be fun. You got the double Benedicts going in. You got the Cumberbatch. You got the Wong. You got the hand movements. You got the jive. You got noodle monsters. It's going to be a popcorn ride. It's going to make a lot of money. The box office people are already saying it's on track to make $150 million in its opening weekend or more. It's like, oh yeah, it's going to break records. So anyway, it's coming out. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. We'll probably see it this weekend. We'll probably talk about it on Monday.
Yeah, I guess I need to watch that latest Spider-Man finally and probably read a synopsis of WandaVision.
Yeah, I don't want to watch WandaVision. I'll just read a Cliff Notes version. But anyway, so that brings us to the period of the show, which you've all been waiting for, where I review a movie that I saw. Jake didn't get a chance to see it this week.
No, I had full plans to do so. However, I had to take in 6 baby Virginia possums and figure out what to do with them and follow advice of some rescuers I was in contact with. And
Down under.
should be getting them back with a local rescue tomorrow for proper release back into the wilds. Don't keep wild animals as
Do
pets.
not keep wild animals as pets.
Looking at you, Ash.
Looking at everyone that tries to keep wild animals as
my fiance's
pets.
trying real hard to do that. But
They
yeah.
do eat ticks. They're great for the ecosystem.
Yeah, possums are super rad.
Yeah, so anyway. But so Memory, the new film that came out last weekend from director Martin Campbell. You may know Martin Campbell from such movies as Casino Royale, Vertical Limit, Green Lantern, which we just talked about, and Golden Eye. Well known for action films, well known for, that kind of jazz. Coming up with a film that's starring Liam Neeson and Guy Pearce and some other people. Ray Stevenson also in this movie, oddly enough, with the only performance that did not feel like it was community theater. This
Ray
movie,
Stevenson's a good actor.
he is a good actor, but even whoever wrote this script, this was adapted off of, a book, which was called Desak Alzheimer, and there was a movie, I think of the same name, that was what? You got a problem with German?
No, I just think it's really funny.
Desak Alzheimer. But anyway, it's an adapted, it's a remake of a foreign film, and Liam Neeson stars as this hitman who's clearly getting up in age. I mean, Liam Neeson's 70 years old, so a lot of this hitman with a series of skills is getting a little bit not believable. Except this movie, you're like, okay, well, this dude doesn't need to be doing this anymore.
It's not like he seems 70 though.
He does in this movie, and for good reason. I mean, he's got early stage Alzheimer's, and Guy Pearce plays this detective who, is on a task force for, human trafficking, because we're going back to that old chestnut where, the bad guys are baby fuckers or whatever. And, well, I mean, that's the new bad guy, and then it's like the whole beginning of the movie is just like, he's on a sting. He's like pretending to be like this creepo perv, and he's like, so how old are you, girl? And she's like, oh, let me just tug on your wiener. And he's like, no, let me know how old you are first. And then she's just like, all right. And then everything goes haywire, and there's like a cartel tie-in. And
I'm uncomfortable right now.
This is the movie. I'm describing the movie, okay? Nothing that I'm saying did not happen in the movie. And then the bad guy is white America, and which is hilarious. And except for the main bad guy is neither white nor American. And it's this lady, the CEO, who has this sort of weird, indiscriminate accent that you can't quite place, and she's like the bad guy. It's Monica Bellucci plays Davana Seelman, and she has this it's like whoever the acting coaches are were like, okay, let's come up with a bad guy accent. It's like foreign from somewhere, but we don't know. And they're like, okay, got it. It's like Monica Bellucci's performance was if she was trying to play a bad guy that Antonio Banderas was trying to play that wasn't Spanish. And you're like, what is going on here? And she's like, this is bad. And like, what is going on? And Guy Pearce and Liam Neeson are the only two characters that are actually interesting to watch. And, Liam Neeson, he's just running around shooting people the whole time. He's like, I don't kill kids. And, classic hitman
And like a group
trope.
of teenagers come after him, and he's like,
Pew, 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 pew. And he's like, forgot.
that'd be sick.
But, it's classic hitman trope where it's a hitman that just like, oh, I'm not going to kill a kid. I mean, you've seen it in 1,000 movies. And he keeps dropping his Alzheimer's medicine like in every fucking set. Like he's just like, oh, well, pew, pew, pew. And he drops these pills and his pill bottle with his like prescription on it. And Guy Pearce is like, these pills again. And it's just a stupid series of events where he's on this task force, Guy Pearce's task force, with Taj Otwal and this guy Antonio Jaramillo, who is the most poorly acted, paper thin characters that just make this movie just cringeably hilarious to watch. And all to a very predictable plot twist at the end, right? And Liam Neeson's, you can't... My problem with this movie is this guy is struggling with Alzheimer's. And despite being in a movie with Guy Pearce, who was in Memento, which is a movie literally about a guy who can't remember shit and is writing notes all over the place, it's like, take a freaking notepad guy and go, you know what? I was in a really good movie about the same shit. Maybe we should do it this. Nope. They squander all of these really cool potential ways of making Liam Neeson's sort of affliction be a part of the story, and it's not. Like, he forgets his keys a couple times, and he forgets a pin in a gun, a firing pin in his gun once, and but you don't get this whole like, okay, I'm gapping out and forgetting. You don't get any of that. You don't get any sense that this Alzheimer's is becoming a really big part of his life until like the very end, all of a sudden. And then it's like Alzheimer's is like this time clock boogeyman. It's like, in 1 hour I'll have full Alzheimer's, so we better solve this thing. And it's so forced and stupid. He's like, oh, if I just had my pills, my Alzheimer's would be at bay for another hour. And it's like, what the fuck? And yeah, the movie falls apart, man. There's so many better Hitman movies out there. I mean, Taken. Pick any Taken, and it's better than this.
It's not a Hitman movie. That's a rescue, revenge.
But he's got a
CIA guy.
He's got a set of skills. There's a lot of pew 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 pew, or I guess is the noise.
Movie silencers.
Yeah. I mean, the movie silencers they got a noise. But yeah, I do not recommend this movie. I mean, this movie is not doing well at the box office. If you want to, it is a
I still need to see it.
paint by numbers, action hitman trope with a 70-year-old as the lead, and they're like, how do we make this believable? Give him Alzheimer's. And so I guess maybe now Liam Neeson, every action movie he's in, he's going to have some sort of crippling old person disease, or like the next one he's just got like gout really bad, or he's like a nearsighted sniper or something really funny. would be like, I can't and I got too much pride to, let my commanding officer know, and he's just like sniping civilians left and right.
No,
and
the scope would help. He just wouldn't know what direction to point it. Where is he?
Okay.
I can't find him.
Oh man.
Sam said that you never see an Amish bad guy in movies, and that was something I just wanted to mention real quick because it wouldn't work, man. There'd be horsehair and beard hair and stuff like that left all over. They wouldn't know how to avoid the technology of the day. Rumspringa is just not long enough for them to learn how to evade the authorities.
What if like, okay, if we were doing a shout outs over on YouTube, Hardy Entertainment, House Play, saying greetings from Atlanta. What's up, dude?
Nice.
But what if like an Amish, like there was an Amish action movie where there's a bad guy where that like that gap.
There is an Amish action movie. It has Tim Allen and Kirstie Allen, right? Like,
that does not count.
What was that movie called?
I know exactly what you're talking about. What is
they're
the
like
name
in
of
witness
it?
protection.
Yeah, and they're like riding that. Yeah, that's a terrible movie. But like what if in that if I was a screenplay writer, which I'm not, but I've read a lot of really bad screenplays, and I think this could be one where like that year of time when like an Amish boy grows his first pube, and they're like, well, we'll send you out into the wilderness, and you get to do what you want for like a year, and that's like a thing. Read the Amish Bible, like
Rumspringa.
Yeah, Rumspringa. It's like when your first pube has springed. And like they send you out into the real world to like either become an adult and or get scared of the world and run back to your duties of churning butter and building houses and riding in wagons, and maybe there's like a dude that becomes like a hitman in that year where he's got a set of like Amish skills, and he like all of his weapons are like built from like wood, and and like no one can figure it out.
They got metal.
No, he doesn't have time to like run a forge or anything.
Maybe
and build a gun. He's only got a year. Rumspringa's not that long.
You ever see that movie Sex Drive? The guys are driving across country, and like Seth Green is an Amish dude, and he has those guys, and they fixed the GTO because what they did when they were outside of the Amish community was like learn how to
fix GTOs,
turn wrenches. Yeah.
Oh man, that's a life you can't leave behind.
Yeah.
You can't live life a quarter mile at a time in a freaking horse cart. Yeah, that's neither fast nor furious. Let's see. Lojweb says on Twitch there was only one point in Memory that they used the memory aspect in well in regard to the plot, which was the assassination. He wasn't sure if he did or not, but that lasted about 2 minutes. Yeah, that was the only time.
And he wants you to talk about the gold carts in the lobby.
I don't have time to talk about the gold carts in the lobby. It just everything in this movie. The lobby scene was ridiculous. There was so many ridiculous things. I mean, I was snickering in the theater when I saw Memory. Golf carts. Yeah, I knew that's what you're talking about. Like okay, the scene that he's talking about is the main bad guy, Monica, with the weird accent from wherever the hell she was from, protecting her son who was a child sexer, who was like, yeah, Mom, I got this kid sex party I gotta go to, and she's like, oh, be careful, don't take yourself on no pictures, and so when he dies, and she's like, oh, I gotta protect myself in this sort of Nakatomi center that she has, she's just like calls the like Cleveland PD or wherever dumbass town they were in, or it was like Santa Fe or San Pedro or something like that, somewhere in Texas, somewhere stupid, and Like, there was...
Shout out to all our Texas
Yeah,
viewers.
shout out to Texas. El Paso, thank you, Logan. And there was quite literally like 150 cops. Like, there was patrol cars everywhere, and just this office building, and there was guys in like golf carts riding around in the lobby, and like it looked like Joe Pesci's squad from like the Michael Jackson Moonwalker video, where there's like hundreds of indiscriminate helmet-wearing, rifle-carrying dudes to protect like one dude that's got like a child hostage. And
did he morph into a rabbit on a motorcycle?
God, I wish. But yeah, it was just so ridiculous. And of course, Liam Neeson, distracts them all and manages to shoot all of them in places that don't kill them. And this movie's dumb. You'll probably love it.
Yeah, probably. I still need to watch it once I'm sans possums.
Well, anyway, Memory in theaters right now. You can check it out. It's not doing very well. It probably won't be. No, as Sam asks on Facebook, is it pants worthy? I would say no. But it is there. You can check it out if you want to. But that brings us up to the box office roundup for this week. I'm going to let Jake take over again for the box office roundup. The box office roundup is where we take the top 10 movies in America. We tell you what the box office was last week. And the reason we do this is because understanding your box office report is the best way to understand not only the health of the film industry and the theatrical film release industry, but it also gives you a really good sort of metric of what's going to get a sequel, what style of movie we're going to see more of. Are we going to see more horror movies? Are we going to see more indie movies? Are we going to see more comic book movies? What studio's doing well, what projects are going to get greenlit. So if you understand your box office, you can really understand kind of what's going to happen in the future. So we will kick it off with number 10.
Number 10 coming in, still hanging in there. We got Morbius. Talking about those comic book movies, this one looks like it is one of the ones that people have not been stoked on. It brought in only $1.5 million.
That's not good for a comic book movie.
Yep, which brings it to a total of $71.47 million total.
Domestic.
So that's the domestic total.
It's
not what Sony wanted to see.
It crossed its budget overseas.
It made its money back early on. People said it was a flop and all that, but it made its money back early on. It's just not the success level that they're used to seeing out of their Marvel properties. So we'll see how that one goes.
The law of diminishing returns in full effect.
Especially since they already have its multiverse nonsense tied in. We'll see where it goes. Number 9, Father Stew. Weird to still see it in the top 10, but there's not many movies out there.
No, there's not.
It brought in $2.2 million, which puts its domestic total at 17.5.
3 weeks.
So
not terrible. Not
more
great.
than what you would expect from something that had no advertising until 2 days before release on all of your YouTube and Facebook videos.
And no comic book superpowers.
That's true, but it does have Marky Mark and Mad Max. And
hey, how's your faith? Yeah.
Yeah. Number 8, Memory, opened at number 8. Ouch. Bringing in $3.1 million. It's only in 2,500 theaters.
Yeah, it's not a super wide
release. That
is what's called expanded release for those of you that are just tuning in and never seen the show. Under 3,000 is expanded, over 3,000 is wide, under 500 is, or under 1,000 is limited, and under 100 is like LA, New York. It's just out.
Sure. Yeah. So its full total is that 3.1 million. It'd be interesting to see what its entire budget was that it's aiming to get back. Number 7, hanging in there for its 6th week, is The Lost City. It brought in 3.8 million, bringing its full total up to 90.7. So not so bad.
Doing pretty well.
Not so bad. Then number 6, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which you reviewed last week. It brought in 3.8 million as well, bringing its total up to 13.5.
So interesting fact about The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is Lionsgate is not sure what to do with the future of comedy because of this movie, but not doing as well as it wanted it all the hype.
Well, it's one of those things. What hype? It wasn't there. They didn't like run trailers for it on TV or anything.
No,
that
the
I'm aware
meme
of.
hype. It's like, where does the internet hype start and the actual hype of people that will buy tickets begin?
You got to actually have some time out there for people to find it and see it and be like, oh yeah. Maybe try advertising. Then number 5, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which you've also reviewed recently. It brought in 3.8 as well. That one total domestic 13.
Oh no, it brought in 5.5.
I'm looking at the wrong one. Yeah, it brought in $5.5 million, and its domestic totals 35.5. So
here's something
doing not so bad.
Unbelievable about this movie. Everything Everywhere All at Once, again, probably the best performing A24 movie out here, did something this week that no movie, no big theatrical release has been known to do. In its 6th weekend, it went up. Like, usually movies just go down after they're, they'll open up and then they'll drop about 40 to 60%, and then another, Morbius dropped 75% from its first week, which was huge, but then it'll usually drop another 30 to 40% each week until it's out of its limited run. In its 6th weekend release, Everything Everywhere All at Once actually jumped up 2% from the previous week. People are losing their minds. Like, they're like, wait a minute, what? Are we in a multiverse? Because movies don't do that, but this did. And as Tyler just said over on YouTube, great word of mouth. It's such a good movie. If you've got it in your theaters, which is only in 2,200 theaters, go check it out.
Then holding steady at number 4, The Northman, which we both reviewed, brought in $6.3 million, and that brings its domestic total up to 22.8. So that one still hanging in there. That's good because we were afraid that it would be much further down on the list. So it's very good that it's at least holding steady.
In the top 5.
Bringing in some form of income there.
Because it's a bit of a challenging movie for your average studio or average audience goer. It's not one that I would just walk in blindly and go, dude, you want to see some dudes fight with axes?
Well, and it's something that it's gotten a lot more advertising than something like The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. But it's on a subject that everyone's kind of like, what the hell is that movie supposed to be about? Kind of a thing. So good to see it at least holding steady. And speaking of holding steady, number 3, Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore, dumbass movie, brought in $8.3 million because people needed something to watch. And that brings its domestic total to just shy of 80 at 79.5.
Yeah.
We reviewed that movie too.
Yeah, you can check out the episodes. You go back on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. You can find previous episodes. And generally, if you just want to get to the review, just scrub to the second half of the show, and that's when we do them.
Yeah, and another one holding steady in its place. Wow, all of these have just stayed right where they were. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 brought in $11.5 million this past weekend, which brings its domestic gross.
Only a 26% drop from last week. That's pretty dang good for a 4th week.
For 4 weeks, yeah. Bringing its domestic total $161 million. So I'm sure we'll probably get yet another Sonic movie, but it will have to be without Dr. Robotnik, or at least
that's right,
the one that we know. They'll have to CGI him into the Eggman shape.
Oh shit!
From the fall,
that'd be cool.
He ate weird mushrooms, and that changed his body chemistry, and now he can be shaped into the Eggman.
That'd be cool.
It would be
I'd
cool.
see that. Such a silly movie.
Send me a check there, Paramount. Bring me on as a consultant writer, something.
That's right, a co-writer.
Take my idea.
Creative consultant.
Yes, there we go. At least something that you will give me dollar bills for. I need them. And then number 1, staying at number 1, The Bad Guys. One of those that you didn't get to see yet, but I know you just can't wait to do it.
Oh, man. If anything I love, it's
double feature this weekend.
Talking animals doing people things. God, I just can't get enough of that genre.
Well, apparently people honestly can't. It brought in $16.237 million in its second week, bringing its total up to $44.5 million in the domestic box office.
In 2 weeks. Not bad.
So, yeah, in the non-movie going times. Yeah, doing a good job.
Tyler over on YouTube said he kept thinking that Northman was an A24, and same with everything.
That way.
Same with Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, like, we've got some very indie films coming out, but I think we've all gotten used to like indie films being A24. But they kind of A24 did kick the door open for more indie films to actually get theatrical releases, which I thought was pretty cool and interesting. Let's see. Logan over on Twitch says Bad Guys wasn't half bad. Vince over on Twitch says not many movies slip by this show without a review. It's true. We try to see at least one new movie every week that's in theaters, so we got to keep you guys posted. Tyler says the animation style looks interesting, at least over on the Bad Guys. I mean, as far as CGI animals doing people things, they did take an interesting turn. It's almost like rotoscope, cel-shaded kind of style animation, but still, traditional CG.
There is a animals doing people things one that I want to watch, which is the Super Pets DC movie.
Oh, the one with Krypton?
Yeah, with Rock being Crypto.
Oh, the next Rock and Kevin Hart buddy team up?
But it's Keanu Reeves as Batman.
Yeah, but it's The Rock and Kevin Hart, dude.
I like The Rock.
I know you love those Rock and Kevin Hart team ups, but I am just not a fan. I don't mind The Rock. I like The Rock. I just don't. When Kevin Hart and The Rock get together, it's no. It's two ingredients that I don't think go together.
Talking about The
dinner.
Rock real quick. One thing The Rock shared, which it's his birthday today. How about that?
Well, happy birthday, Rock.
Dwayne Johnson.
Can we get some Rock emojis?
Yeah, hit us with some Rock emotes in the
exclusive
Twitch.
over on our Twitch.
Yeah, for Dwayne Johnson's birthday here. But he posted today that
was he 70?
No,
52.
He's up there, I guess, but he's not 70. He posted today that in one of the new episodes of Young Rock coming out, it's actually gonna have him at WWE starting out as Rocky Maivia. Dude, that show's actually not
I
bad.
want to see a return of CGI Scorpion King a la The Mummy 2.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll get to that point
where it's like real bad late 90s, early 2000s CGI.
It's not a bad show, and it has Randall Park being pretty funny in it, but in pretty much every episode. But it's a pretty good show.
Tyler says, "Don't you get it? One's short and one's big." Ha! Yeah, that's the stick. That's why I don't like it. And anyway, well,
that's our thing.
That's right. And yeah, don't steal our fire, Rock and Kevin Hart. But anyway, all right, guys. Well, we are out of time. We'll be back next week talking about the multiverse of madness. So we will see you guys next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We broadcast live every Monday night, Central Standard Time. And if you do not have time to tune in live, you can always check us out wherever you download your podcasts. So if you use Spotify, Tuned In, Apple Podcasts, Google Music, whatever it is you use, just search for the Drive-In Speaker Box. Drive-In has a hyphen, Speaker Box is all one word. And you can hit us up there and tune in. It'll be fun. We'll appreciate it. If you like and subscribe, we'll get money, I guess, maybe. That'd be pretty dope, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it?
That'd be dope.
I'd like it. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, as always, I'm Bo, the Boom Operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And I will see you guys next week. How about that?
See ya.